Okay, so once again, guys, we are bringing to you another free kick video. We have today we have the brand new adiPure 11 Pros, first released February 1st. Although we do have them a little bit early, so we're kind of excited about sharing that with you guys. But so our subject for today is a gentleman who actually is an assistant coach with one of the local colleges. He also he's been playing for. Well, frankly, as long as he can remember. But he also is he's one of the directors of our training program here for youth locally. So he is, he certainly knows what he's doing. The foot skills you see displayed right here are actually going to be a pretty regular thing through the course of the film. So definitely stay tuned, check those out. At the end, we're going to have kind of a sum up for you guys, so you can, see what his opinions on the shoes are, and some of the facts of, how he feels about them, all that good stuff. So, obviously, we're starting off here with, some pretty basic stuff, nothing overly involved or special, but basically, our subject today, by the way, his name is Tim. Last time we had Tony, who was a recent graduate of the same college that Tim assistant coaches for. So, but anyway, these guys are obviously local talent, all that sort of good stuff. But Tim is certainly well respected in the area, not only for his ability but also for his coaching. So, kind of wanted to, there's a little bit more of an analytical angle as far as Tim is concerned. So that's why we wanted to have him on board too. So as you can see here, some of the balls we used were, we've got actually Tim's personal ball right there. That's one of the old Capitanos from previous Champions League year. Truthfully, I'm not sure which one it is, but I'm sure one of you guys can help me out with that. Obviously, the T90 Club teams like we had last time, and then also we have some old Team Geist from 2006. Tim's goal in all of this really was to kind of work out the cleats as much as possible, as opposed to Tony's was kind of to show off and show some of his, obviously some of the power associated with his shooting. So that definitely worked out for us. But this time, Tim's got a little bit more emphasis on, running the boots out a little bit more thoroughly and getting some shots in and kind of seeing ball placement and that sort of thing. So you're going to find kind of a different emphasis from Tim than there was from Tony. So, but also they're two very different players. Tony is very much a power player. Tim is really more of a tactical player, a technical player. So, but anyway, one of these days, I swear I'll release some of the outtakes from this stuff, because it is definitely funny stuff. Not just the outtakes, but also some of Tim's commentary is pretty colorful too. But we've actually got a couple shots here where Tim managed to hit both posts on the same shot, which is kind of fun to watch. But apart from that, as you can see here, Tim's really just kind of going through the paces. He starts off, obviously earlier in the program, he definitely has a little bit more of a solid shot, and then as we start to wear on, he's trying to place it a little bit more. But as you can see, in between the shots, nevertheless, good deal of foot skills going on. He actually called a couple pretty impressive shots over the course of the filming. So called one really nice second ball that we'll show you up a little bit from here. But kind of there he goes. A little bit more about the boots too. We asked him for emphasis on his feel about certain aspects of the shoes. Which parts, the 360 degree, the new saddle that's supposed to go over the 4 foot studs. We definitely asked him about that, and there he is again showing off. But actually, one of the things I wanted to share some audio with you guys right here, but frankly, I'm pretty sure YouTube wouldn't want me to. But you can hear it on that one. Actually, you can hear it go off both posts right there. But anyway, so we asked him, pretty pointed questions about the boots themselves. As you guys already know, these are for the very first time, adiPures are not kangaroo leather. These ones are Taurus, which is kind of it's what we like to call kind of a semi-synthetic. It's not really a synthetic shoe. It's just a treated kangaroo, but it does lose some of its flexibility, properties associated with it being kangaroo. But Anyway, it's definitely I don't know. It's as far as anybody can tell, it's a pretty comfortable shoe. It definitely does require some. There it is. There's the second ball. Anyway, it does definitely require some breaking in. So, but anyway, we tried to give you a couple different angles this time. Here we have one of a kind of a lower angle, but the idea was to show off the movement and the touch of the boot as much as possible. One aspect of the shoe where it definitely passes with flying colors is the touch. Touch on this shoe is really, really terrific, and you can see it right there. Actually, Tim's got a pretty skilled foot when it comes to touch anyway, but you get a great feel for the ball. It's definitely a winner in that department. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that Tim thought it was the most comfortable boot in the world, as you guys will find out later, but he definitely liked the touch to go with it. But again, anyway, back to Taurus. As we said, kind of like a treated kangaroo, so it's a semi-synthetic. It does lose some of its pliability, so it doesn't shape to your foot quite as well as kangaroo, but it is lighter. These shoes come in at 8.2 ounces in a sample size 9, and you can definitely tell. You can definitely tell the difference between some of the old adiPures. Tim wore the adiPure 3s previously, as you guys will find out later. And he definitely liked them. However, it wasn't. They actually they were a little bit weighty for him. So he liked that about these ones. But you'll get a pretty good feel later for what it's all about, but what Tim's view is all about. But yeah, as you can see here, you're actually going to find out in a minute. Tim has a little trouble with ending up in front of the camera on some of these shots, which I apologize for that. But there's really not a whole heck of a lot we can do about it. There's a pretty good example. But yeah, so like we said, just kind of giving you point of view type stuff and see what Tim has to say about the boots. But these, as you guys may or may not already know, the entire adiPure line is going to be introduced with the MyCoach technology, with the exception of the adiQuestras. So you'll find the adiCores will have that MyCoach cavity, and then so will the adiNovas. The only one, again, oh, there you go. He actually just saved me from taking one off the face right there. So thanks for that, Tim. Appreciate that. But even the adiNovas will have the MyCoach cavity, and you'll find out later on that the Predators coming up are also going to have that same sort of compatibility with MyCoach. One thing Adidas doesn't tell you is that if you can find a spot on your boots while you're training, if you're training, without a ball, or if you're doing, minimal ball training during the course of a practice session, you're going to find you can actually stick MyCoach on any boot, just like you do with some of that technology associated with like Nike running shoes or Adidas running shoes. So. But anyway, enough from me. You're actually going to get an interview with Tim in just a second. So thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned. We also have one last little clip at the end, so stay tuned. Thanks, guys. All right, so we got a couple quick questions for our subject here. First question for you. Initial reaction putting on the shoes when you're first running them out. What do you got?
Stiff.
Yep.
Definitely stiff. Tight around the ankle.
Okay.
So
show us where.
Stiff in the inner parts here, kind of cutting into my ankle, kind of creating a little bit of a blister.
All right, show me which spot you're talking.
Right around here, this spot here.
Okay, so we're talking about this material, right where this heel liner right here kind of meets the upper material?
Yeah.
So we're talking about this spot right here. That's right, because at the beginning we had to actually work that out a little bit, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of soften it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Now tell me the material on the forefoot. Now this is Taurus. This is the first time adiPure hasn't been kangaroo leather. Let me ask you, the material on the upper, nice and soft to start with, or you said it started a little stiff?
Yeah, it started a little stiff. I mean, as we got it warmed up, we started playing with it a bit more.
Yeah.
Definitely had a better feel to them, so they started to flex out a little bit. I mean, this was a lot stiffer when I started.
Yeah. Good and soft now, right?
Yeah.
Now, a question for you. Adidas has been telling us that with these two forefoot studs right here and this softer material, it's kind of a flexy material in the forefoot here, that you're meant to see a little bit more flexion in the forefoot, and as a result, you're supposed to have a little bit better balance on the field, even though you're using conical studs.
Yeah.
All right, is that kind of what you're feeling there, or what do you got?
I mean, I think a little bit towards the turf that we're on. It's a little stiff and hard underneath.
Yeah.
Had a little bit of, I guess,
discomfort. Yeah.
in the forefoot there in terms of like how it flexes.
Yeah.
As we started to play a little bit, it started to feel a lot better.
Gotcha. So it was definitely loosening up for you.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Now I had a question. My initial thought on these ones, the My Coach cavity is always in the left boot here. You can see it's got the little insignia right on the sock liner there. When you're playing with these, we do not have a My Coach in the cavity right now. We don't have that transponder in there. So what were you getting for a feeling there? Were you noticing that cavity at all, or is that... Gotcha. Can't feel it at all.
Nope.
Awesome. Okay, now the other thing I wanted to ask you about also was the sock liners on here. The sock liners are like a suede material. One of the concerns we had about this was that it was going to be, I don't know, kind of slippery once you started playing on it.
Yeah.
Did you find that to be the case or no?
No.
Yeah, pretty tacky?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. All right, and you were saying it was, how else would you describe the sock liner? Would you say it was comfortable, not comfortable?
I would say it's definitely comfortable from the initial feel. I mean, obviously not having played with them in a game where we're changing direction and changing,
Right.
which way you're going, changing speeds and the such. For this, it was definitely comfortable.
Okay, good. All right. The other thing I wanted to ask you too. Now, full disclosure, you've worn adiPures before, haven't you?
Yeah.
Now you wore the 3s, isn't that right?
Yes.
And with the 3s, did you have any general problems with those ones?
In a match when I wore them, actually suffered one of my most, severe injuries in terms of an ankle injury.
Yeah.
When I had landed, my foot kind of did. I jumped for a ball to save it, and when I landed,
Yeah.
I rolled this direction and then this direction. So on both sides of my ankle,
Gotcha.
I actually had an injury where my ankle immediately ballooned up. And,
Oh, gotcha.
And
wasn't broken, but definitely painful.
no, and I think part of it was on my fault. I obviously didn't get it checked out, but had sprained the ankle before, and it was a
Gotcha.
little bit more severe. And I think a lot of it was due to this ankle bit here. The
Just being low.
support was low on
Gotcha.
on both sides.
And that was actually a common complaint we had with the adiPure 3s. Another complaint we had about those was that the heel cup was way too shallow and narrow, and so as a result, people's heels were actually coming out of it. Did you have any problems with slipping in those?
Not that I can recall. No.
Gotcha. Okay. Now the other question I wanted to ask you, these ones obviously are, these are 2 models on. These are not adiPure 3s, but my question for you, comfort level, those versus these, what do you got? Now that you've worked them out a little bit, loosened them up.
I would definitely prefer the previous ones, the 3s.
Gotcha. And why is that?
Just in terms of the general feel and the width.
Yep.
And the overall comfort level.
Now, are you saying the width on these ones is narrower than the 3s or wider?
It feels a little bit more narrow, but again, that's probably because I just broke these in.
Gotcha.
But the initial feel, from what I can remember,
Yeah.
my initial reaction would definitely prefer the 3s.
Okay. Now, another question for you real quick. When it comes to the stud layout, now on these ones, this is the first time an adiPure's had a conical stud. Mm-hmm. We've had, bladed studs for every previous adiPure model. Mm-hmm. When it comes to the studs, are you noticing a lot of pressure on your foot, whereas before maybe it was a little bit lighter, or what do you got?
I'd say on the outside stud.
Yeah.
That is the outside one, right? The outside stud here.
Yeah.
On my right foot.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just a problem that I encounter, but felt as soon as I take them off too, I can feel the pressure's relieved in that area of the foot.
Gotcha. So you're saying you're kind of balancing maybe on that stud a little bit?
Yeah.
So these are definitely, these studs you can see right here in the forefoot. Obviously, these 2 studs are considerably larger than the ones at the forefoot of the actual front of the shoe. Mm. Is that where you're noticing the pressure is on these taller studs?
Those 2, yeah.
Gotcha. So do you reckon maybe it's because of the turf here? We do have a pretty shallow turf, so.
Yeah, I would definitely say that's a contributing factor.
Yeah, if you're playing on natural grass, maybe it's a separate issue.
Yeah, natural grass, and especially, maybe when it's wet.
Yeah.
Wetter, you can still pull off the molded.
Gotcha. Okay. So now that leads me to, obviously another question. If you had to recommend these to somebody, would you recommend them for turf use or no?
For turf use?
Yes.
My initial reaction off of this turf, no.
Right.
Probably go with.
And this is a field turf too. This isn't like an AstroTurf or anything like that.
Yeah, my initial reaction would be no.
Yeah.
But, certainly people would have to try them on and.
Yeah, feel it for themselves.
Yeah, feel it for themselves, and it's obviously what they prefer. But for me, having played quite a bit,
yeah,
and wearing a lot of different Adidas boots as well, definitely not.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, that about wraps it up for me. Is there anything else you want to add to it?
That's it, man. Thanks for having me.
All right.